Good morning, everyone. Today we'll be studying the normal structure of the lungs. We are starting with the respiratory system today, so it is very important to know the normal structure of the lungs, normal anatomy as well as the normal histopathology. Now, the respiratory system and the cardiovascular system both are very much interconnected and both function dependently in the body. So, pathology of any of the system affects the other one. So it is therefore necessary to start the respiratory system after the cardiovascular system. In this lecture, we will study the normal anatomy of the lungs and the normal histopathology of the lungs. This is very necessary for understanding the different pathologies that affect the lung. Now we will begin with the anatomy. The right adult lung is divided into 3 lobes by 2 fissures and it weighs about average of 450 grams. So as you can see, this is the right lung and the horizontal fissure this one and the oblique fissure. They divide the right lung into 3 lobes, the superior lobe, the middle lobe and the inferior lobe. This is the apex and this is the base of the right lung. The left lung is divided into 2 lobes by a single fissure and it weighs about average of 400 grams. As you can see, this is the oblique fissure which divides the left lung into 2 lobes. This is the superior lobe and this is the inferior lobe. This is the apex of the lung tissue and this is the base. Now the respiratory tree. So this inverted tree here represents the airways of the lung. This represents the trachea which divides into the bronchi and then several subdivisions occur till the alveoli which form the gaseous exchange system in our lungs. The airways of the lungs are broadly classified into 2 types. First is purely air conducting tubules and the second is the gaseous interexchange system. Now the main function of the respiratory system is to provide oxygen to the tissues and remove the carbon dioxide from the tissues. So the main function of air conducting tubules is just to provide the air from the outside atmosphere to the lungs. And the gaseous interexchange system, the main purpose is to provide oxygen to the tissues. So there are divisions and beyond the terminal bronchiole, the gaseous interexchange system starts. So the trachea, bronchus, bronchiole and the terminal bronchiole, they constitute the air conducting system. And the respiratory bronchiole, the alveolar duct, alveolar sac and the alveoli, they constitute the gaseous interexchange system. We will study in details each part of the system. So this is a brief of the different segments of the airway. First, there is trachea, which divides into principal bronchi or the primary bronchi. 2, the right one and the left one, which divide into the lobar bronchi. 3 on the right side and 2 on the left side. They further divide into segmental bronchi, then subsegmental bronchi and bronchiole. So from the trachea to the bronchiole, there are about 8 subdivisions. This bronchiole then undergoes further 3 to 4 subdivisions to form the terminal bronchiole, which is the last part of the air conducting system. The terminal bronchiole further divides into the respiratory bronchiole. The respiratory bronchiole divides into the alveolar duct and the alveolar duct divide into alveolar sac and into the alveoli, which are the blind end passages of the respiratory tract and responsible for the gaseous interexchange. Starting with the trachea. The respiratory tree begins with the trachea, which is a fairly short tube of 10 to 12 cm length with a diameter of about 2 cm. The trachea is the connecting tube between the larynx and the This is the trachea. This is the trachea, and it is stabilized by these C-shaped cartilage rings. About 16 to 20 of these rings are present, and these rings are responsible for the patency of the trachea. So during extreme pressure changes also, the trachea remains open because of this cartilage. Second is the bronchus. The primary bronchi. Trachea divides into two primary bronchi, the right and the left bronchi. The primary right bronchus is more vertical and more directly in line with the trachea as compared to the left. That is why chances of aspiration of food or vomit, they are more in the right side of the lung. Coming to the secondary bronchi, the right primary bronchus divides into three secondary bronchi. They are also known as the lobar bronchi, supplying the three lobes of the right lung. And the left primary bronchus divides into two secondary or the lobar bronchi, supplying the two lobes of the left lung. This figure shows this is the trachea, and these two are the primary bronchi, blue colored. Further, the primary bronchus divides into three secondary bronchi, 1, 2 and 3, the yellow colored. On the right side, it divides into three secondary bronchi, and on the left side, as there are two lobes, it divides into two secondary bronchi, this one and this two. Further divisions and subdivisions take place till the smallest bronchi is formed. So about 8 subdivisions take place. As I told you, the secondary bronchi divide into tertiary bronchi, the segmental bronchi, which further divide into many subsegmental bronchi. Coming to the bronchiole, the smallest bronchus divides to form the bronchiole, and these bronchioles, they undergo 3 to 4 divisions. Terminal bronchiole. The last subdivision of the bronchiole is called as the terminal bronchiole. It is the last of the purely air conducting tubules with no gas exchange. Coming to the acinus. The lung tissue which is distal to the terminal bronchiole is called as an acinus. It forms the gaseous interexchange system beginning at the terminal end of the conducting system, that is the terminal bronchiole. An acinus is comprised of about 3 to 5 respiratory bronchioles arising from each terminal bronchiole. A single respiratory bronchiole divides into several alveolar ducts. Each alveolar duct opens into many alveolar sacs, also called as alveoli. These alveoli are the blind end passages of the respiratory system where the gaseous interexchange takes place. So, as I told you, this is the figure which shows different bronchioles. This is the terminal bronchiole here, the last of the air conducting system. Each terminal bronchiole divides into about 3 to 4 respiratory bronchioles. Here only single respiratory bronchiole is shown. The cut portions of the others can be seen. The respiratory bronchiole divides further into alveolar ducts. This is the one shown. These are the other ends shown. Then the alveolar duct further divides into alveolar sacs and the alveoli. So basically, the gaseous exchange takes place at the alveoli. Pulmonary lobule. This is a term applied to a cluster of about 5 acini supplied by terminal bronchioles and enclosed by visible fibrous septa. Coming to the blood supply of the lungs. Lung has a dual blood supply, both by the bronchial and the pulmonary arteries, and the bronchial veins drain the blood supplied by the bronchial arteries. As lungs has receive a dual supply, the chances of ischemia, they are comparatively rare in the lungs. The lymphatic drainage of the lungs. Abundant intercommunicating lymphatics are present on the surface of the lungs, which drain into subpleural plexus. Also, hilar and tracheobronchial lymph nodes are present and they drain into the thoracic duct. So, summarizing everything, The respiratory system is an integral part of the body. The main function is to supply oxygen and to remove the carbon dioxide from the body. And the respiratory system, it is divided into air conducting part and the gaseous interexchange part. Now the trachea, it is the starting point of the system. It divides into two primary bronchi. The primary bronchi divide into secondary bronchi, 3 on the right side and 2 on the left side. And further divisions and subdivisions take place about 8 times till the smallest bronchi. The smallest bronchi then divides into bronchiole. Again, about 3 to 4 divisions take place till the formation of terminal bronchiole. The portion of the lung tissue which is distal to the terminal bronchiole is called as an acinus. The terminal bronchiole divides into about 3 to 5 respiratory bronchioles. Each respiratory bronchiole divides into alveolar duct, which in turn divide into alveolar sacs or the alveoli. And this is the blind part of the respiratory system where gaseous interexchange takes place. Now coming to the histopathology of the respiratory tree, it is necessary for us to know the normal histology so that we can easily identify any abnormal pathology that occurs in the respiratory tree. Now for the purpose of convenience, the lung is principally divided into 4 compartments. First is the large airways, the bronchi. Second, the smaller airways and the air spaces, that is bronchioles and the alveoli. Third is the interstitium, and fourth is the vessels. So now there are differences in the histology of all the compartments, and we need to study the different compartments in details. So we'll start with the bronchi. The bronchi are lined by pseudostratified ciliated columnar epithelium, also called as the respiratory epithelium. There are scattered goblet cells present in between the epithelium. Also, seromucinous glands, cartilage, smooth muscle and branches of the bronchial arteries are present beneath the epithelium. So this figure shows the normal bronchus. This bronchus is lined by ciliated columnar epithelium. Then there are foci of goblet cells here, smooth muscle. This is the cartilage. Here there are smooth muscle and branches of the bronchial artery. They can be seen here. So these carry oxygenated blood from the left ventricle. Coming to the bronchioles. Bronchioles have a pseudostratified ciliated columnar epithelium, but the difference is that they do not have any goblet cells. There are non-ciliated Clara cells present which have a secretory and a reserve cell function. They secrete a protein which is rich in lysozyme and immunoglobulins, and here again cartilage is absent. So the differences are goblet cells and cartilage are absent in the bronchioles. As you can see here, this is the bronchiole and these are the alveoli. These are the alveolar septa. This is the artery and this is the vein. And here you can see scattered alveolar macrophages. So this figure shows difference between a bronchus and a bronchiole. As you can see, this cartilage, this is present in the bronchus but it is absent in a bronchiole. And the other difference is goblet cells, they are present in a bronchus but they are absent in a bronchiole. Now coming to the alveoli. So the alveoli, they are the terminal air sacs and they have very thin walls. The alveolar wall, it consists of 3 tissue components: surface epithelium, blood vessels and the interstitial tissue. The surface epithelium, it is composed of epithelial cells. There are 2 types of epithelial cells present in the alveolar walls. Type 1 pneumocytes, also called as membranous pneumocytes. Type 2 pneumocytes, also called as granular pneumocytes. So we will see first type 1 pneumocytes. They are the most numerous, cover about 95% of the alveolar surface and they are responsible for the gaseous exchange. Type 2 pneumocytes, They are project into the alveoli and they are covered by microvilli, occupy only about 5% of the alveolar surface area, but they serve a very important function. They secrete the surfactant, which is responsible for reducing the surface tension. So the main function is secretion of surfactant so that the alveoli do not collapse during expiration. Coming to alveolar macrophages. The alveolar macrophages, they are present both free in the alveolar spaces and also contained in the alveolar wall. They are responsible for phagocytosis of inhaled particulate matter and the bacteria. The most common particles contained in them are the carbon particles, so they are also called as dust macrophages. Pores of Kohn. The alveolar walls, they are not entirely solid but are perforated by numerous pores. They are called as pores of Kohn and they allow some movement of air between the adjacent alveoli. Because of these pores, pathology, they are responsible for passage of bacteria and exudate, thus causing spread of infection. The interstitium. The interstitial wall, it consists of collagen bundles, some fibroblasts, few fine elastic fibers, smooth muscle, and mast cells and mononuclear cells. That is the alveolar macrophages. So here is the figure. Now see, this is the capillary and this is the alveolar wall. So between two alveoli there is capillary. Everything is connected and this is the interstitium. So as you can see, this is the capillary endothelium, this is the lumen of the capillary, and this is the interstitium which contains collagen, fibroblasts, then mast cells, mononuclear cells, and this is the alveolar wall. So it contains two types of pneumocytes. This is type 1 pneumocyte and this is type 2 pneumocyte. It projects inside the alveoli and it has microvilli on its surface. And this is the alveolar space. Another figure showing the same things. So this is the alveolar space. Type 1 pneumocyte, type 2 pneumocytes. Then this is the interstitium. This is the capillary, endothelium of the capillary, and this is the lumen. And these are interstitial cells. And this is the basement membrane. This was all about the normal histology. Summarizing everything, the lung is divided into 4 compartments. The larger airways, that is the bronchi, the smaller airways and the alveoli, bronchioles, and third is the interstitium, and fourth is the vessels. So the bronchi or the larger airways, they are covered with respiratory epithelium, that is pseudo-stratified ciliated columnar epithelium. The main difference between the bronchi and bronchioles is that the bronchioles do not have cartilage and do not have the goblet cells. Then the alveoli, they have a surface epithelium which consists of 2 types of cells, type 1 pneumocytes and type 2 pneumocytes. The type 2 are responsible for secretion of surfactant, which reduces the surface tension of the alveoli and prevent collapse of the alveoli during expiration. And blood vessels, they are present along with bronchioles and also in the interlobular septa. Now, this is a brief classification of lung diseases into different groups. Now, over the subsequent course of lectures, we will study all these diseases one by one in detail. So roughly the lung diseases, they are classified into congenital anomalies, the respiratory distress syndrome, adult and the neonatal both, vascular disorders, pulmonary hypertension being of significance, infections, pneumonia the most important one, chronic obstructive pulmonary diseases, chronic restrictive lung diseases, lung tumors, and pleural pathology. So everything will be covered in the few lectures over the course of time. So thank you very much, and this was all about today.